If you're just joining us, where have you been? We've been talking about the CAF Champions League and the Confederation Cup. We've seen the upsets. We've seen 12 teams with 100% record so far. And before we move on talking about this prestigious CAF competition, let's give you the answer to the earlier trivia question I asked you earlier. Remember, I wanted to know how many African Cup of Nations titles have Samuel Eto'o won. Here to answer that question is Jessica Aunty Diski, the queen of African football herself. Jessica, how you doing now? How body?
I am well. How body today?
Hey, see how she's looking like correct jollof. Anyway, let's move on.
Let's get people out of the misery.
Yes.
You know, when you spoke about the queen of African football, I think the next person, Samuel Eto'o, to me is the king of African football, a true legend. But I think the numbers, okay, the correct answer is 2. Yeah. First one was in 2000 and the second one was in 2002. But for somebody who's really been so phenomenal in the, spaces of football, you think maybe the number is 8 or 10, because I think they really deserve to have, lifted the trophy many times like that. But the correct answer is 2.
Yes, well, nobody would falter for calling Samuel Eto'o one of the kings of African football, a true legend indeed. Now let's move on to something exciting happening on the continent. Is the Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers. Remember that the World Cup is coming up next year in Poland. And can you tell me more about this?
Yeah, definitely super excited to see which are the 4 teams, the 4 nations that are going to be representing Africa in Poland. So we've had the first and the second edition of the qualifiers, and we are going to be moving to the next phase, which is the third phase of the qualifiers that's going to be happening in February. We saw some scores, very questionable scores, and I know you're going to talk about that.
I saw the 9-0.
Exactly, but I want to talk, it's the third.
So who was beaten 18-0, please? Let us reveal some names. Let some countries consider whether they want to continue with
We
football.
are not here to shade those undignified scorelines. However, we are here to talk about some of the nations that I believe would do very well, I mean, speaking about the score margins, Tanzania was one team that was really scoring at every moment that they got. And it's one nation you would never anticipate that they'll be performing so well, especially at this level. And I'm hoping that, they get that breakthrough and they actually advance and move forward. The national team for South Africa also, when they were playing against Eswatini, their scoreline also is very great in terms of the goal difference and dominance. And I'm hoping to see them in the last round, because we've seen how they just kind of fade also in the qualifying stages and they never really advance, to go through, just like teams like Nigeria. Yes. Another team I'm very interested to see here is Benin. Ade, they actually have one of the biggest score lines when it comes to, the first and the second edition. And Benin is not a team that really is a threat in most of these continental football matches. So it will be very interesting to see how they will do in the second round of the qualifications. And they are going to be playing against Egypt, which is a team that comes from North Africa. We don't see a lot of those teams besides Morocco. So I think it's going to be a very difficult clash, but I'm interested to see what they're going to do in advance.
Yes, Jessica was being gracious. She didn't want to say who got beaten 18-0, but I found it. Cameroon beat Niger 18-0. Wow, amazing. Now let's move on to the Champions League. The qualifiers is happening. It's still ongoing in the Champions League, the Women's Champions League. The UNNIFAC region we were talking about last week.
Yes.
Do you have any further updates on that?
Yeah, we definitely do have further updates. So the host FC 15 de Agosto was the team that walked away with victory in that zone, cementing their place in the Champions League, and they're obviously going to be joined by TP Mazembe, who is also from that region, due to them being the defending champions. Now we are going to start seeing the dates obviously rolling out on when Champions League is going to be, where it's going to be hosted, and I think we can then start profiling some of these teams that have advanced and have made it through. I'm super excited to see the new additional teams within this specific tournament, how well they are going to be doing, but absolutely fantastic, awesome times ahead of us.
Yeah, Jessica, you know one thing I forgot. I forgot to give the viewers at home my diamonds from this week. So let me give you my diamonds quickly. Coming in at number 3 this week is Yankuba Minte, who schooled Chelsea on how it is done in the final third this weekend. The Gambian winger provided the assist for Danny Welbeck's equalizer against Chelsea. His strong runs and trickery was instrumental in setting up a second-half comeback to win the match 3-1. If he continues this way, he might find himself sitting in between Lamine Yamal and Ousmane Dembele at next year's Ballon d'Or. Okay, relax, Adelani. You're taking it a little too far. Now, moving on to number 2 is Ismaila Sarr. Crystal Palace extended their unbeaten run in all competitions to 18 games. Can you believe it? Ismaila Sarr netted for the 3rd league game in a row when he turned the ball home from close range against Liverpool. Sarr's sharp edge in front of goals has been a big part of the steady rise of the Eagles of Selhurst Park. Coming in at number 1, can I get a drum roll, please? This week is Antoine Semenyo. Semenyo gave Bournemouth the lead at Leeds United. Does anyone know what is in the Ghanaian jollof he must be eating? The Black Star from Ghana has been on fire since the season started, and this weekend he scored his 4th goal in 5 matches. His superb free kick from 30 yards marked a major milestone in his impressive 2024-2025 campaign so far. That was his first ever free kick goal with the Cherries. So those are my diamonds for this week. Do you agree with all the names on that list? Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure speaking to you. And to our viewers at home, make sure you catch Game On because they have the latest on the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Remember, Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria, and South Africa are representing the continent. And before I love you and leave you, I just want to congratulate the University of Development Studies from Ghana for winning the University World Cup Finals. Let's do this again next week. From me, for now, Ninitanda Nonke Kakulu.